And we'd like to welcome the Soul to Soul today, Carmen. Thank you for coming into the studio.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
You've had quite an incredible career. You started off really more coaching, business training, but now you're a little bit more psychic and that side of things. Do you want to tell us about this incredible journey you've been on?
Sure, I'd love to. So I started off with my career. I've had 15 years in marketing and sales, but mainly in the marketing field.
Right.
And I loved what I did. And I was very fortunate to work with fantastic businesses and companies. But something was lacking, and I always felt that there was more out there for me. So I liked doing the creative side, but like I said, something was lacking. So that's when I established Spiritual Discovery back in 2012.
Right.
I went to some psychic circles and realised that I loved the mediumship side of things, and that was just so natural for me to tap into. And the psychic readings and all of the spirituality just made sense to me and resonated. So that's when I started doing psychic mediumship readings, and from there my business had grown, and then I was able to step down from working full-time in marketing over a period of 18 months to leave that and then focus on spiritual discovery full-time.
Right, so it was like this transition going from marketing into spiritual discovery.
That's right, exactly. And now I incorporate what I've learnt with all the years of marketing and sales with business mentoring.
Right.
So I incorporate the holistic spiritual side with the business side, which I feel is really important, understanding both of them.
So who are the type of clients that would come to you now?
Yeah. The main sort of clients that I have are women that want to get back in touch with themselves. You know, they've lost, their passions, and they're wanting to reignite that so that they live their life on purpose with passion and abundance. And that's what I empower them to do, to tap into that inner passion and unleash it, doing what they love.
Right. And you're using, obviously, psychic techniques there. What type of techniques are you using in particular?
So I utilise, mediumship with that, as well as psychic tarot readings, and also, the one-to-one business mentoring. So finding out exactly what it is they want, where they are, and then we look at how to achieve that based on, I guess, a logical and practical business perspective, which in some cases that's sort of missing from that spiritual realm. So I try to incorporate that into where I'm going, because I believe everyone has the answers within. It just takes, sometimes we don't always ask those questions, so that's what I'll do, is ask different questions in order to elicitate where it is they're wanting to go.
It's amazing, isn't it, that we're at a period of time now, like I personally have been working in these areas of psychic areas of alternative therapies, if you like, for over 30 years now. And in the early days, if you talked about business type people getting into psychic stuff, it was like oil and water. It didn't mix, But whereas now we're seeing a lot of people like yourself starting to bridge that gap a lot more. Are people responding well to this?
They are. And I had that fear, that real innate fear, when I stepped out from marketing 15 years in that sort of corporate world to do this full time, because I thought people are going to think I'm a freak, going from that into this. And I had this fear about talking to people about what it is I do and what I stand for. So when people would ask me what I do, I'd sort of be like, oh, what do I say? I'm a psychic medium, a business coach. I love the marketing. Like, who am I? What do I stand for? But now I find that it's more and more embraced. So a great example of that is Facebook and Google. They had a summit like a couple of years ago in regards to the importance of mindfulness and meditation and well-being. So, these bigger companies are seeing the importance in that, and that's trickling down.
Yes.
So I'm finding business owners are looking for more answers and realising the importance of well-being, not only with themselves, but with their team members, and looking after their team members in order to improve productivity, performance and profits. So to me, it all goes hand in hand, and it is a lot more acceptable now. And now I'm very much true to myself, and I will tell people that this is what I stand stand for. I incorporate the spirituality with the business, and I love that. I love that.
You don't feel like you have to water it down anymore.
No, exactly.
I'm having this sort of image at the moment of you, Marketing 101, going to a development circle for the first time. Two things about that. One, I'm sure that experience helps you in guiding business type people who are coming to you for the first time.
Yes.
Secondly, I'm just trying to imagine what was going through your mind that first time.
So I do. With the first time that I did that, I had battled with depression for from my 20s to sort of early 30s, and I guess I took me going through a divorce to realise I need to do something about this. You know, I'd been to counsellors, psychologists, psychiatrists even in the past, just weren't getting any results.
Yeah.
They kept on focusing on why I was like I am, but no strategies in order to move forward. So a colleague actually at work introduced me to a spiritual school. And I was immediately drawn to the psychic circles. So I went to one, and at the time I was so scared. I was thinking, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I'm not, all these fears were coming up for me. I'm not good enough. What if I don't belong here? What if I'm found out? You know, like all these thoughts were coming up for me, which are universal, but at the time I didn't realise this.
Yeah.
And it's a bit, when I did do it, I really thought, how am I going to, even when they introduced me to meditation, I thought, how am I going to meditate? I'm that sort of person that constantly has thoughts running through my head. I'm always on the go. How am I going to ground myself and really embrace this? But straight away I loved it, and I just felt so much more relaxed. Met some like-minded women and men that really just understood me, and I finally felt like I belonged somewhere. And that was really important to me, having that place to sort of go to and know that I wasn't weird, know that I wasn't strange for having these, this fascination with the spiritual world since I was young. And then going from that marketing background, I think it gave me both perspectives on it, that the business perspective as well as the spiritual. And that's why now I like blending those two together. And you're right, when people come to me, that they are, they can be that corporate businesswoman looking for more answers, knowing that there's more within them, but then just unsure how to unleash that. And the spiritual world can help that, especially with self-confidence and overcoming fear and self-belief.
So you were saying that you struggled with depression in your early 20s into your 30s there. Do you want to talk a little bit about that for us?
Sure, yeah. So I found it a bit of a roller coaster throughout my life, sort of coming into that 20s to 30s, and not the whole time, but like a lot of ups and downs during those years. And what I was finding is when I was going through a really challenging situation, I didn't know how to cope with that. I didn't know where to go to, who to talk to. I've been really blessed because I have such a loving, supporting family. And I thought, what's wrong with me? I've got all these opportunities. Why am I feeling this way? And I couldn't understand why. I just felt like I was falling into a black hole, and I didn't know how to lift myself up. So that's when finding spirituality, like I said, it was just such an eye-opener, going, oh my God, I am normal. I'm not strange. I'm not weird. And there are strategies and practical strategies to help move from there to where you're wanting to be. And the next step on the spirituality that really helped me was understanding and learning more about what this life coaching was. So originally I was really drawn into studying counselling, and then I spoke to somebody. It was like I was meant to meet this girl at a wedding, and she said to me, have you ever looked at life coaching? It sounds like that would really resonate with you. It's, helping people go from here to here with practical strategies. And I went, it's like a light bulb moment, one of those awakenings you have. Oh my gosh, that's what I need to do. That's what I want to do. And I researched more and more into it, did a lot of, I'm very anal with my research and looking into things, and I found a college that I was really drawn to based on, their marketing and sales and understanding all sides of it. And then just working with other like-minded coaches, I really, that helped me pull myself out of, where I was, and focusing my mindset on where I'm wanting to go, and understanding the importance of words and thoughts. It's, not just your language to others, but the language and thoughts that you actually tell yourself on a daily basis.
Exactly, yeah.
So that really helped
all that
me.
Self-talk stuff, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm curious, I'm just putting this out there as an idea. You were saying before that you'd always felt a certain draw to the spirit world.
Yes.
Do you think that not having done something about that fed the depression a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah, because I find that a lot of people that have denied it in themselves end up going through something like a depression or some sort of dis-ease within their body. And once they start embracing it, suddenly all that lifts. Was that the case?
Definitely. So since I was young, I used to sit outside with my grandpa, and he used to tell me about, the spiritual world. My dad, which is my dad's side of the family, my great-great-uncle was a psychic medium, Uncle Eck, and my grandfather embraced that, always was able to see spirit. My dad's a healer, even though he doesn't want to talk about it too much, but he is a healer, and he's been told that by a number of people. So we used to sit outside and talk about, all of this since I was quite young. And I was always fascinated, whereas, my sister and mum were more like, what'll be will be sort of thing, but they weren't as fascinated about it as I was, and it really intrigued me. And, unfortunately my grandfather passed, and then I was looking for more answers, and I always felt that my grandmother by my side, even though I'd never met her because she passed when my dad was quite young, and from when I was a young age. And then that's when I found the spiritual world, and I guess the development circle that I went to, I did feel like I was at home and that I was understood. And I definitely agree with what you said, that not embracing that did cause me to sort of spiral out of control a little bit, with the depression. And then by finding out more about the spirituality, it did pull me back up and realise that I do have the inner strength within, and, that I am normal, that I'm not strange.
Yes. No, I think that's important. I recently had a client who came to me who said, I'm seeing all these spirits around me and I'm feeling all this energy. Can you make it go away? And I said, well, no, I can't, but I can help you how to understand it and how to manage it and deal with it. And he just wasn't interested. I don't want to know about it. I just want a magic pill, someone to wave a wand, make it go away, put a shield around me, whatever.
Yes.
And I said, well, that doesn't really work that way, And so he thought, yeah, okay, that's it. You're no good to me, and off he went. Fair enough, But then he called back, a month later, it's getting worse. And I'm saying to him, well, look, that's going to happen, and you'll get sick and all sorts of things will happen the longer you're in denial about it,
Yes.
I said, it's like being a fish and not wanting to admit that you're actually swimming in water,
Yes, so true. It is.
And so it's fascinating to once again see someone else who was also going down that path.
Yeah.
But unlike this fellow who's still struggling to this day, you're actually embracing it and making it work for you.
Yes, and I think based on what you just said, I learned a very important lesson earlier on when I was doing the mediumship. I was allowing it to really take over too much, and I wasn't grounding myself, so reconnecting with Earth. It was sort of like I was floating between here and the next sort of world. And I found that, spirit were just constantly talking to me. But when I learnt strategies, I went back and spoke to my teacher, and she said, look, Carmen, it's really unhealthy to do that, to be floating between here and the other side, because you can put yourself in danger. You can have a car accident if you're not careful. So I really learnt strategies to ground myself, and I think you've got to be very strong-willed. And what really helps me is when I'm communicating with spirit is that they understand the tone to me, rather than go away, it's sort of go away, And I really learnt quite early on that it is really important to ground yourself and have that balance, so that you're not just walking around totally connected all the time.
My teacher said to me many years ago that you'll know when you've got the balance right, because it'll be like one foot's in one side and one foot's in the other side, and you're walking this narrow line in between the two.
Yes.
And once you find that balance, then it all works. And he was absolutely right, of course.
Yes, it's so true. Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Now, for those that are interested, and we
Yep.
have a lot of people that have been in development circles and things like that,
Sure.
listen to the show. Do you want to talk a little bit about the sort of things they did in that initial circle and the sort of things that you learned there?
Yeah, sure. So in the initial circle that I went to, we explored different things. So we psychometry, which is reading of jewelry, because everything has energy, as you know.
Yes.
So we would learn to tap into our natural psychic abilities, because to me, we all have intuition and psychic abilities. It comes down to trusting and believing in yourself and just going with what you either know, hear, see, or feel.
Yep.
So we did that. We also did mediumship, so that's connecting with spirit, which is what we've been talking about, giving relevant evidence, and I was fortunate enough to be, trained by Greg Riley, who is fantastic at what he does and very evidence-based. So he did really give me practical, skills in order to give relevant evidence, not just I've got a grandmother here who enjoys cooking.
Yeah.
It's about their names, how many children they had, their career, their hobbies, and as much information as you possibly can, and then providing a unique message to the client, because ultimately there's always a message that they want to communicate to their loved one.
And I think if I remember from Greg's workshops, I have sat in on one once a long time ago. Hello, Greg, if you're listening.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, he works much the way that I was taught too, where it's not about the process that's important, it's about the message that the client gets at the end of the day. Because some people are all about process and look at me, I'm communing with spirit and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
Whereas really it's about bringing through clear, concise communication, as my teacher used to say.
Yes, it is, exactly. Being very clear and passing on that message, coming from here, because it is challenging to get that message, because it is a lot of the times a feeling or just a knowing. So being able to communicate that to the client is really important.
Now, in the years that you've been doing it, obviously it's developed more and more. Like with anything, the more you do it, the better you get at it. Have you started seeing energies, auras, that type of thing? Is that developed for you?
Yeah. In regards to auras, I don't actually see auras. I feel them. I just know. I know what colour. You've got a lot of yellow around you at the moment, which signifies education, spiritual teaching, and enlightenment. That's what it means to me. So it's just a knowing and a feeling that I get. And the more that I've developed my skills, the more in tune I find that I am. Seeing orbs and feeling and knowing the auras around people, and picking up on the energy of others as well. I am empath, but it's not as much as I am claircognient, which is an inner knowing.
Yep.
So you do. I think you learn to develop that over the years. So I was blessed to be able to try a lot of different things, and then really work out what it is I was drawn to and what I wanted to help others with.
Oh, that's good, because I found the same thing in my development over the years too. In the early days, I didn't see anything per se as much as I intuited it.
Yes.
But then over time, the vision started coming clear to the point where now we're auras.
Yes, you can just tap into it.
Exactly, but that's a lot of years of practice.
Yes.
And this is something I think that's important to point out, especially for people that are listening who are watching, who may be learning this for themselves for the first time at the moment, going through those early stages, that you may not always see things straight away, you may not always see the aura straight away, but in time it'll come. And sometimes it doesn't, sometimes other things come, it depends on the person and what frequency range they're working on.
That's right. And what I find, the more and more people I work with, is that we all receive information differently. So some people will say to me, I've had family members say, I can't see anything. And I'm like, that's okay. You don't have to physically always see spirit or you said, or auras and things like that. It may just be an inner knowing. A lot of mediums I find work as, from that inner knowing.
That's
so they don't know why they know things, they just do. And then others are that inner feeling, they're empaths, so they pick up on that energy. And others are the hearing, they hear spirit. So when I tap into the mediumship, I utilise all four. So it is like putting together, as you would understand, like a puzzle.
Yes, it is.
And then interpreting that and communicating that to the client in the best ability that you can. So it can be challenging at times, but it's putting all of that together and then communicating.
And that's where the counselling side of it comes in too, because not only are you doing all that matrixy of jigsaw puzzle in your head, but you're also trying to monitor the client's energy to see how how they're receiving it, and to adjust and work to make sure that they're as comfortable and as clear about it as possible, you know.
That's right. And I think that's such an important statement that you just touched on then, because I feel that, counselling or coaching or, some form of assisting others needs to be incorporated in the spiritual realm, because you are dealing with emotions and people are going through a lot of sensitive moments and you have to know how to respond to that, even the basics in regards to don't touch people if they're crying, and let them have that space. And, and that's where I really am blessed that I got taught, that way, that you really need to have some sort of counselling or coaching background, because it can be very emotional, and you need to know how to react with the client in order to help them get to where they need to be. Exactly. And that's why now I'm working more with the coaching side of it and mentoring women in order to deal with their emotions and touching on the psychic development if required as well.
Yeah. Now, let's go back to current time.
Yep.
Your business is expanding. There's more and more people coming all the time.
Yep, love it.
Are you just working by yourself in the business?
I have contractors that I use. At the moment it is mainly me, and then I utilise contractors as required. So we run mind, body, soul retreats throughout Australia and Bali. So we've got one coming up this weekend, the Unleash Your Inner Goddess retreat in Kalarama, up near Alinda. And I'll utilise other contractors. So I have a Reiki master coming. I have a yoga teacher who's also my spiritual teacher coming up, Shanti. I've got Holly doing Reiki. I've got another girl, Larissa, doing massage. And I've got past girls that have been on retreats helping me crew. So that they're able to come back and give back and be in that environment again. So I love that. I love being able to, go away and really, retreat and reconnect with these clients, help them have that time out that they deserve, that they don't necessarily always take from their, their day-to-day life. Yeah. So we do a lot of personal development and spiritual workshops, and they get pampered as well. So it's great. So we focus on that, as well as a big part of my business is the business and lifestyle mentoring that I use with women. And that's to reignite, like I was saying earlier, the passion inside them, and so that they're living their life on purpose, because so many people say they don't know what their purpose, their vision is. So by understanding that, everything else sort of works out.
Comes into place.
Exactly. So that's what I do with that. We also run workshops, Soul Chicks workshops, which are weekly, and also the wellbeing workshops with team members of businesses. So working with Harcourts in Frankston and incorporating the mindfulness with the personal development and business side, which is great because I get to incorporate both.
Which is your specialty, of
course.
And
I love that as well. And then the other thing that we do is the psychic pamper parties. So where we mobile pamper parties where we go to you and pamper the guests. So I'm blessed that I'm able to do a bit of everything that I love. Yeah.
So what's next for you?
What's next? Wow, that's a big question. There's so much on at the moment. Well, my focus is on the business mentoring and the retreats that I'm running. So I guess I've got my Bali retreat coming up in 2016, which I'm excited about, in a beautiful place in Bali that's untouched, which I can't wait. And really focusing with business owners that, want to incorporate that holistic side to their business, want to understand more about themselves, but helping them with practical strategies, marketing and business strategies. So that's my real focus, is working with business owners that realise the importance and the connection between the mindset, body, business and soul. Because business a lot of the times is not really looked at as part of that holistically, but that's what I like to really focus on.
Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Carmen, thank you so much for coming into the studio today. It's been wonderful talking to you.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
That's been our pleasure. And we wish you every ongoing success with the business there.
Thank you.
soul.